Disturbing moments in Super Mario 64 Iceberg explained. Yeah, this is by Sacrow. This is a long one, so get yourself something to munch, something to drink. Do you duck and chill? I don't know. Do not chill while watching me. That is a bad idea. Do not do the Netflix and chill variation. Anyway, we're going in. Also, please consider liking and subscribing. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And yeah, a lot of these things I probably already know due to my love and interest for video game myths and Easter eggs and stuff. So a lot of these I probably already know. Anyway, we're going in.
There's something so sinister about finding something scary in entertainment media.
Oh, Fable! Look at that. Oh yeah, we're gonna play the second game, right? We're gonna play Fable 2 when the new Fable releases. Simply because I hate the new Fable. Simply for that reason, and that reason only. Sit down, tell Dux he's the father, and enjoy the stream. Indeed. I'm dead worried today. I heard from a few more Iranians in Iran. Damn, I hope they're safe so far. In Mario 64, you can go so far out of the map. The numbers loop back and create a new map. Off in the distance, creating another universe. You can use this for skips. Interesting.
Where there shouldn't be. Whether it be a creepy Easter egg, a dreading ambiance, or an unintentional scare, there's something so much darker to these moments of horror. These moments are commonly referred to as nightmare fuel.
Oh yeah, that one. Psychonauts, right? When you hop into a chest, there's essentially like a nightmare version for the lady that like essentially couldn't save a bunch of children. That much I know.
Nightmare fuel can refer to a weird cave you found in a video game that's giving off a sinister vibe, or a strange character dialogue that doesn't quite match the rest of the game. These moments are different from the ones found in horror media. In horror media, you expect to be scared, but not when you're playing a game that is for all ages. The same thing can be said for movies and TV shows that are
He calls that nightmare fuel. He certainly has never encountered a woman.
aimed at all ages. Moments in family-friendly movies can seem dark or disturbing. Moments, characters, and environments from non-horror media can even be more horrific than their horror counterparts. Discovering the disturbing moments in non-horror media has been a bit of a hobby for me for a long time. I was always obsessed with finding creepy or strange Easter eggs in video games, or finding the disturbing aspects of children's media.
Fun is infinite. Signed the devil. Wasn't that what it, right?
In this series, I'll be taking a video game or series and deep diving it to find all of the creepy and strange aspects that they have hidden. I'll be placing them on the iceberg depending on how well each moment is known or discussed. The first topic for this new series is a personal favorite of mine, Super Mario 64. Super Mario 64 is probably one of the most influential games.
We've 100%ed that, by the way. Never again. Never again. I'm never doing this again. I'm never touching this game again. Nightmare fuel when a woman has a dream about you cheating and use it to fuel their anger towards you. Indeed. Watch out, there's a wall behind you. You're right, there's a wall behind me. In fact, there's a wall in front of me. And on the sides, too. I'm encased by walls. There's also 2 doors.
Games of all time. It is a very active and involved community that loves to search the game for any further secrets that haven't been discovered yet. Before we start the video, please consider subscribing to the channel, following me on social media, and joining the Discord. You can also support me even further on Patreon. Patrons can even help decide the next video I'll be working on, as I'll be doing weekly polls over there. Now with that out of the way, welcome to the Super Mario 64 Nightmare Fuel Iceberg Explained.
Honestly, I prefer the Mario 69 version. It's on the rule website. Anyway.
Super Mario 64 was the first time Mario was ever in 3D, and it wasn't just a new frontier for Mario, but for gaming as a whole. The 3D environments probably today look pretty standard or archaic, but for anyone who played it back then, it was phenomenal. So why is it that the first time you enter the castle you hear this?
Isn't that a laugh for somebody at Nintendo that was just slowed down? Wasn't that what it was? Unless I'm wrong, right? I'm pretty sure that is the case. Okay, although they really not, where they were in a third world country that used to drink water from mud or something. There was development to fall into this apocalypse situation. The internet was sold for overpriced, and now their government steal it fast as hell. Many don't have electricity or flowing water, but that one story. The other is an Iranian American working with connections from inside Iran to bring us news. So if a close friend of him got caught, they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything to her, but they call her to trial it for tomorrow. Yeah, she's gone.
Bowser has such a disturbing laugh here as he taunts Mario. Now, it may not seem so creepy, especially with the way gaming is now, but this was creepy for the first time, honestly. I played this game as my first N64 game and my first 3D game, and this is my introduction to the castle. I guess it sort of sets the tone for the rest of what there is to explore inside these walls. This is probably the most overdone so-called creepy moment on YouTube. Every video that talks about the disturbing stuff in Super Mario 64 mentions the infamous piano. But to its credit, it was a huge moment for a lot of us playing the game. At the time when Mario 64 was released, there wasn't a place for us to compile.
I wasn't scared by this thing. I was just shocked of how much damage it does. That was my problem. Wasn't the scare. I was like, oh my god, this does so much damage. That was my fear, because it did ridiculous amounts of damage if you got too close. I'm so worried for her. It's not just gone. They can be as cruel to her as they please. Doesn't mean any fairness. They can just invent. She caused war against God and do whatever they want to her. Pretty much. We got its Pocus X. The piano?
The game's moments anywhere. This one sticks out for a few reasons, though. The first being that this was likely most people's first true jump scare in a video game. Sure, plenty of other games had jump scares, but never had we been jump scared in a Mario game. Second, as Mario's first 3D outing, and one of the earliest 3D video games, players weren't used to the third dimension yet. This scene also didn't seem to match with the rest of the mostly upbeat and fun game. Or maybe it fits in perfectly as we go down the iceberg. You'll see what I mean. The piano jump scare is something we'll likely be talking about until we're all in retirement homes. Hazy Maze Cave is one of the darker levels in the game. Like, it's literally dark and hard to see. The whole level is themed after a cave, which is obvious from the name. The area has bat and spider enemies, which can be pretty creepy depending on your feelings about those. The level isn't all that nightmare-inducing, but it's worth mentioning for one reason. The poison fog area.
The only really issue that I have is with this area is that it's just you fall down once, you have to go all the way up again. It's pretty annoying.
Yeah. There's an area where Mario is literally choking on poison gas fumes. Mario will clutch at his throat as he sits in the toxic fumes. Seems kind of dark for an all-ages game to me. This is less of a disturbing moment and more of a Super Mario 64 theory. Players who explore the castle, which is all of them, would come upon a fountain in the courtyard. On the fountain is a plaque with very blurry words. Some have speculated that it says L is real 2401. The L is referring to Luigi, who up to this point has been in almost every single Mario game, but was somehow absent from this one. His absence was noticed by the players.
As far as I'm aware, Luigi's actually in the game files. Right? As far as I'm aware, people have found them. He's just not playable. And there's nothing that makes him playable. But as far as I'm aware, my man existed. Supposedly.
Of course, the plaque is almost impossible to read, and it could just as well say anything. I can't read it at all, so I have no idea. So, case closed, right? Well, not exactly. On July 25th, 2020, something was leaked to the internet. A bunch of N64 source code files were leaked, and in them was something related to Super Mario 64. It was Luigi. He was planned for the game all along and had gotten cut. So in a crazy twist of fate, 24 years and 1 month later after the release of Super Mario 64, Luigi was finally found. So L is real, 2401, after all. This whole turn of events is so cool to me. It really feels like a community can search forever until they find the answers that they seek. Big Boo's Haunt is the horror-themed level of the game. Back in the early days of gaming, games would usually have multiple worlds based on different themes. Games like Super Mario World, Banjo-Kazooie, the Animaniacs, and even Sonic the Hedgehog would have horror-themed worlds.
I wasn't really a fan of this one, honestly, of this level. Not at all. Not really. Then 3D games developed from this. It looks like Tomb Raider from the 90s. Pretty much. Pretty much. That was still back in the day when Nintendo was the big dog. The one that, you know, most stuff that games nowadays use, Nintendo had it first. That is around that time.
These were usually good fun and not too creepy. Well, Super Mario 64 didn't get that memo, and decided that theirs should terrify all that experience it. First off, to get to the world, you have to ground pound a ghost. Once that's done, it'll drop a cage that Mario jumps into. The second the level starts, Mario is immediately taunted by King Boo, who has the standard Boo laugh. Now, if the Boo laugh didn't set the mood for you, you just listen to the music. This is the theme used for the level. It's got this gothic manor vibe going on. It almost sounds like it would be more at home in Resident Evil or Silent Hill, and definitely not a Mario game. The song sounds like a chorus of deep bellows along with a slow drum beat. A xylophone plays ominously from time to time to really bring the piece together. The sound of Boo's laughing can be heard all around as you explore this dark gothic building. The outside
Music can do a lot, right? Music can do a lot. Music can actually make or break a game, in fact, I'd say. Hi, Chris Claudio. How are you doing? Everything well? Hello. Hi. Is that Poga's eyes? Too bad, my friend. I do not have blue eyes. Maybe on my model one is, but in general, not really.
seems to be made of rotting wood with some yellowing windows. 2 torches lit at the entrance beckon you in. The level contains 3 distinct enemies. First are the Boos that roam the halls, making normal Boo sounds. Then there's these giant eyeballs that track Mario as he explores the house. Finally, this is where you can find the piano with giant teeth. I already touched on the piano, so I won't bring it up here again. Overall, this is one of the more dark levels in a 3D platformer. The music, the environment, it's all so memorable. Big Boo's Haunt is what nightmare fuel is made of. The Lethal Lava Lands painting kind of looks like a distorted human face. Almost like a demonic face that is staring down Mario as he makes his way around the castle basement. The face doesn't resemble any enemies that appear in the level, and most likely just represents the flames that can jump out of the lava to block Mario's path. The face in the painting has been a source of childhood trauma for a few people I know.
Interesting. I never really cared about that. The only nightmare fuel on this level is the level itself. I hate when you jump into the lava and this man just starts sprinting for his life because his booty is burning. It is so annoying. Fucking hated it.
The picture probably didn't need to be as creepy as it is, but it kind of helps with the level design for the basement area in Peach's castle. The enemy that is meant to be represented in the painting is still unknown. There's theories that it was cut content or only appeared in certain copies of the game.
The face is Bowser. It could also be some of these jumping lava bolts. That could also be the case. Honestly, I forgot the name of these guys, but yeah, that could also be just like a crazy, evil, terrifying version, but that could also be.
Super Mario 64's water levels have caused distress in some players. The eerie fog the first time you enter Jolly Roger Bay, the vastness of the water's depths, and the other things swimming in the water with you have led to some players feeling uneasy as they swam around. The water levels have even caused minor feelings of thalassophobia, or the fear of deep bodies of water. From the surface, you can't see very much. The water looks almost endless. The uneasiness the body of water brought to people wasn't entirely unwarranted. The water could have many secrets and you wouldn't know until you explored its depths. And there was one thing waiting underneath the surface. Once you enter the waters of Jolly Roger Bay, you might feel a little uneasy, but the music is mostly calming. Mario then explores a little deeper and it starts to feel like something is waiting just around the corner for you. Mario keeps swimming along, not much to see, but the blue water around him. That is, until you turn and there it is. A giant eel with rows of sharp teeth swimming in the water with you. This is Unagi the eel, and this was the reason so many players didn't want to enter the water. The eel in Jolly Roger Bay is another really popular topic for childhood nightmare fuel. The way it just appears as you're exploring the deep waters with
I guess. How could you be scared when the music is so calm? Actually, quite simple. You are not expecting it, right? You go down there and you would just not be expecting it. Right? That's one of the major reasons why you would be terrified, right? Again, we get why everyone is so scared of this eel. Me neither, to be fair. You would probably expect that something, the eel would come out or like, right? You would probably expect that. But people probably at that time didn't. But yeah, I don't really get it either. Like, come on, bro. It's just an eel. Chill.
sure to induce the feelings of anxiety I mentioned before. The eel looked terrifying, even in its own low poly graphics. The look of the eel wasn't what disturbed me though. It was the way it moved in the water. I didn't expect it to just start moving while I was swimming down there. A piece of childhood nightmare fuel for sure. A sign in Big Boo's haunt says, "You don't stand a ghost of a chance in this house. If you walk out of here, you deserve a ghoul medal." This item is said to be obtainable in Big Boo's haunt by various means, but this is the only mention of it in the game. The item resembles a medal with either a Boo's face or a skeleton on it. No one knows what its actual use would be. The different uses listed are appearing on the save file as an achievement, making all Boos and other spooky enemies not attack Mario, unlocking Luigi, unlocking the triple jump, unlocking a permanent vanish cap that can be toggled, unlocking a new course, either Big Boo's Forest or Big Boo's Castle, or unlocking the Ghost Ship. The methods of unlocking the Ghoul Medal are just as varied as its supposed uses, though most players have never been able to unlock it themselves, leaving it unlikely that it exists in most copies of the game. The first few levels of Super Mario 64 aren't really anything too crazy.
Well, if it doesn't end up in the save file, then it was likely just a joke, right? Just a joke in the game, to be fair. And then you'd also have to look at like localization differences, right? You'd also have to look at that before you can make an actual decision, right? Because just because it's named that in English doesn't mean it's going to be named the same in Japanese.
They provide a small variety of different motifs and designs to make them unique and interesting. So when you enter the Bowser levels, why does all that change? The Bowser levels are pretty creepy by themselves, which makes sense since that's where Bowser resides. The dark abyss of backgrounds, the random shapes floating in the sky, and the strange enemies have often made players feel uneasy. Players find that these levels contradict the feeling of the others so greatly that it warrants adding them to this iceberg.
I don't really see how these are terrifying in any way, shape, or form. Like, of course they're out of place. They're Bowser levels. Like, if you look at, like, 2D Mario games, the Bowser levels are always a bit out of place, right? Because they're Bowser levels, right? They're supposed to be evil looking, right? I think that just makes sense, right? Because he's the evil guy. It's what we like. Right? This will be like complaining that Ganondorf's tower, right, is Ganondorf's tower. I don't know. I don't see it.
The pyramid is another mini level in Super Mario 64 that has made players feel uneasy. The pyramid feels claustrophobic and cramped.
I don't see that uneasy. I do see the frustrated, though.
The pyramid is surrounded by quicksand, and there's some slow sinking quicksand on the side. While not as disturbing as Big Boo's haunt, the music can still strike a similar chord. The music feels ominous and foreboding at first, but then becomes slightly panic-inducing, like you're running out of time as you're exploring inside of the pyramid. The chain jump in Bomb Battlefield was a piece of nightmare fuel for many when playing the game for the first time. A giant ball with sharp teeth that does tons of damage to Mario if he runs into him. I can kinda see where everyone is coming with that. The chain jump is a pretty standard enemy starting in Super Mario Bros. 3, but there it was a small enemy that wasn't really too big of a threat. Now, the chain jump in Super Mario 64 is huge, easily 10 times the size of Mario. It can hurt a lot and easily kill players if they are caught off guard. A giant angry ball with sharp teeth sounds terrifying in most cases. The only thing holding this one back is that he's literally chained and can't hurt you. Well,
Unless you unchain him, but then again, he just runs away, right? After which he breaks the gate and then runs away. The main issue is really, again, I think what's more terrifying is just the insane damage he does. 3 hits and it's just over. Pack it up. If you like fuck up hitting that that wooden pole 3 times, it's just over. Are liking this video, Poker? Sure.
unless you get a little too close. Skyboxes refer to the images that surround each level of Super Mario 64. Many of these are simple PNG looking backdrops that are supposed to represent a world beyond what the player is currently exploring. A lot of people find these skyboxes to be eerie or unsettling. Most can't explain why, but for some, it's simply that it looks out of place just surrounding these levels. Also, they make each world feel like a floating island. I'll go into individual.
I think what the issue is also, they're low quality, which honestly could have been actually easily solved by the Nintendo 64. It is capable of that, by the way, using pre-rendered backgrounds. I think one thing we've completely fucked up that we can still use, but choose not to, especially for games that are more linear, are pre-rendered backgrounds. They're incredible, right? Button Kaitos, both games use pre-rendered backgrounds, and they do look really pretty. I don't see any issue in actually utilizing these more again, right? But yeah, that could have been actually a better idea.
Skyboxes as we get further down the iceberg. So for now, just know that they are a form of nightmare fuel for many. Bob-omb Village refers to an unused area in the game that was likely part of Bob-omb Battlefield. This area was inhabited by Bob-ombs, but not much more is known than that. Little to nothing is known about this village, except for some of the mission names. There are a total of 6 missions, and they are all accessed through Bob-omb Battlefield. The missions are To the Top of Town, In the Little Forest, Blast to the Skies, Uncover the 8 Red Coins, Shopping in Town Square, and The Statue's Secret. The last mission refers to the giant statue of Lord Bob-omb in the center of town. Mario just made it to the final floor and found the door to fight Bowser one last time. They start to ascend the stairs and hear this rising music in the background. The music sounds like it's always rising, never stopping, and then the player realizes that the stairs also never seem to be ending. This is the Endless Staircase, and it's there to keep players from fighting Bowser until they have enough stars. Many players have felt varying levels of dread while trying to ascend these stairs. This is caused by anxiety-inducing music and the stairs never seeming to come to an end. The stairs have been well documented as causing...
Well, no wonder. This would absolutely cause dread to me as well. Imagine you were there, like 5-10 minutes straight, you just walk up and it just never ends, and then you turn the camera and it's like, oh yeah, well, in fact, I didn't move a single millimeter. Wonderful. Perfect. Is that Poke's ball? Yes. Yes, it is. My balls are in Mario 64. You can get them.
Minor panic-filled moments for players who weren't expecting them. Finally, something I know a lot about. Super Mario 64 is a very popular and very nostalgic video game.
Yeah, there's a few creepypastas. There was something with Wario. There was also every version of Mario 64 is personalized, and so far and so on. Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
So of course, it has a load of creepypastas based off of it. There's really two that come to mind when I first think of Super Mario 64 creepypastas, though. Those being Super Mario 64 and Super Mario 64 Damned, both of which are not very good. I'll give a short summary of them since I've already covered them in more detail in my gaming creepypasta Iceberg video. Let's start with the Super Mario 64 one. Super Mario 64 is about a guy who wants to relive some of his childhood memories and buys a copy of Super Mario 64 from a strange website. The seller asks for $10 and the buyer's address, and that's it. The guy receives the game and notices that it's not in pristine condition like
Oh yeah, I buy one for right, easy $10, right? Nowadays you probably pay like everything. That now you pay like a liver or something, whatever. Can you please react to biggest cornballs on the internet by Javius? We can do that tomorrow, but not today. You got this long one.
he was told in the ad. The game had a piece of duct tape stuck to the front with Mario written on it in permanent marker. Then he notices the game is acting strange, characters were missing, enemies were missing, and things were generally not like he remembered at all. Then he ends up finding a picture of him and his family, a very recent one. Every time he loses a life in the game, the painting starts to look a little worse, kind of like a picture of Dorian Gray. The creepypasta ends with a picture of his family turning to skeletons as he unhooks the console, finally shutting it off. Then he loads up a different file and finds a picture of a skeletal family that isn't his own. The other creepypasta, Super Mario Damned, follows a similar formula but shows much more gruesome imagery, such as Mario being hung, Mario
Crazy work. Well, there is the beta game over screen for Luigi's Mansion, which essentially looks like they fucking violated this man in there, physically and emotionally. So anyway, like this is literally how every creepypasta video game starts. Pretty much, yeah.
having his eyes sewn shut, and the torturing of Mario and Peach. Honestly, I like this one better, but they both kind of lack quality control, which was actually a huge problem in the early days of gaming creepypastas, but also what made them so fun. I've talked about
Oh boy, would you now look at SCP? Would you now look at that? It's horrible. It's horrible. That also needs quality control. Probably more than just creepypastas need them. Oh boy, oh boy. It's basically run by very interesting individuals nowadays. You know the kind that we talk about here a lot.
creepypastas enough on this non-creepypasta iceberg, so let's move on. There's a theory that the paintings in Super Mario 64 are portals that teleport you to different locations in the world of the Mushroom Kingdom. So instead of just being worlds that exist within the castle, there are different areas that you could find without.
Oh no, not that one. Not that one. I had so much, oh my god. You know, the tiny uh big thingy, oh god. And fucking I hated it. I fucking hated it.
Ever entering the paintings. This isn't so much a theory anymore, as Super Mario Odyssey kind of already proved it. There's several paintings you can enter in the game, and they take you to different parts of the world. There's a sign in Cool Mountain that says, "Cold, cold crevice below." And many people thought it sounded like another level in the game. There's players who believe it was meant to act as a mini world within Cool Mountain, similar to the inside of the volcano or the pyramid level. Most likely it was just a phrase that doesn't really mean much. Still fun to speculate about what could have been though. Mysterious Mountain Slide is a secret area that can be accessed through Tall Mountain. The slide itself is very different from other slide levels in the game. The background is just a black void with moons and stars with faces on them staring at Mario. The faces are kind of weird, and without the music, it can be a bit ominous. The true scary part is near the end, where if you don't turn the right direction fast enough, a skull and crossbones can be seen on a sign that sends Mario falling to his death. The Omen archives are the end.
Understandable, but I feel like that's not perhaps you can't really complain about something that it got Tall Mount. Silence! I don't want to hear anything. I hated this one as well. We need Super Mario 67. We need Super Mario 69. Anyway, hi Lumpy, how you doing? Are you doing well? I went to relive this childhood game, kind of mine. So I bought this cheap copy on eBay. Turns out it was haunted. Classic. The classic. Stop being racist against these levels. I won't stop.
64 assets created by Silicon Graphics Inc. that were leaked online. The leaked coding was used to create early N64 emulators and altered a bit so they wouldn't face legal ramifications. The Yeoman archives were leaked by an ex-employee at Silicon Graphics, but not much more is known about this individual. It is believed they were sued by Nintendo, but nothing has gone public. There's a belief that these files were altered in some way as they didn't have the personalization AI in them. What is the personalization AI? Well, starting in 2020, there was a theory going around the internet, one that would change.
Yep, there it is. There it is. Every copy of Super Mario 64 is personalized. That's a good old one. These creepypastas are so high school coded. A lot of these probably were made by people during high school, let's be real.
The way we looked at Super Mario 64 and gaming creepypastas forever. Something called the "every copy of Super Mario 64 is personalized" theory. People believe that the reason everyone has different but similar experiences is because every copy of the game is personalized to the player. The way it does this is through the personalization AI that is in the game's files. The AI will study the player, find out what they're like, and personalize the game to them. This theory has led to many people coming forward with their own interpretations of the game. This includes new enemies, levels, entities, and characters. This theory is probably the coolest thing to come out of both the Super Mario 64 community and the gaming creepypasta community in a long time. It both creates endless possibilities but also adds another layer of mystery and nightmare fuel to the game. So remember, if your experience with the game is different than mine, well, you know why. The Wario apparition is one of the many entities to be experienced in personalized copies of Super Mario 64. The Wario
There's the Wario thing. Yep. I don't believe in personalization. It isn't even possible. It wasn't even possible back then, so there's that.
entity is often considered the most dangerous of the personalizations, with players reporting stroke-like symptoms and memory loss. The Wario apparition isn't guaranteed in most playthroughs of the game. It, like many other occurrences, only happen in certain copies of the game. The causes of his appearances are unknown at this time. The Wario apparition is said to appear in the hallway leading to Dire Dire Docks. He will appear and chase the player. This behavior is also dependent on the personalization AI. This is the most popular of the personalizations. The final boss fight with Bowser is considered nightmare fuel by many due to how much darker it is overall. Firstly, Bowser is much bigger and much more intimidating in this fight. The level has this green hue to it and has very eerie music playing in the background. The music is being played on what sounds like an organ, just adding a layer of creepiness to it. The map that you fight Bowser on even starts to collapse during your fight, making it feel much more cramped and just a little bit harder. It may not be the creepiest level in the game, but it's still worth noting.
Really? People thought this was, like, scary? To be fair, the only thing I had an issue with, like, I like the music. I didn't like the fight too much, mainly because you had to chug him into the spikes, which was at times really annoying, right? Because that man, I couldn't chug him into this, which you know, that was indeed a bit frustrating. I'd have to admit that was not fun. But anyway, a personalized game sounds cool. Yeah, nobody would probably make that. It would cost too much money.
The mirror room has been a long-time source of anxiety for players. Some find it uncanny to see Mario's reflection in the mirror. The mirror room always felt like it had this air of mystery to it, but no one could figure out exactly what caused it. The door behind the mirror is possibly the biggest mystery. Players have theorized that it leads to Luigi or another entrance to the castle, or it leads to an inverted version of the castle. These theories help to give it a little bit of credence to those who find the mirror room ominous. Space World 95 is an early build of Super Mario 64 shown at Space World 95. These are less creepy and more interesting as it shows the ideas they had before the final release of the game. Some do find the footage of the game to be a little disturbing. mainly in the fact that it feels so familiar but so different, kind of leading into the personalization theory. It also shows the world what could have been. There's a theory that Princess Peach's secret slide is really a dimensional rift. This theory stems from the fact that it is unlike any other level in the game. The skybox around the level is completely black, there's no red coin star, and it's the only stage that feels like it's completely detached from the castle. The level feels like it's its own dimension that exists only within the castle. The mystery Goomba refers to a Goomba that spawns inside of a platform in the first Bowser boss level. The Goomba can't be seen except for at its very specific angles, making it almost impossible to notice. The reason for this Goomba's existence and placement is a mystery. It also makes it a coin you can never get, the unattainable coin and the unkillable Goomba.
I think they just forgot the bro. I think they just placed him and forgot him. That's really all. They just forgot homie. And now he's there, forever alone. Nowhere to be seen again.
Super Mario 64, being the first 3D Mario game, really had its work cut out for it when deciding how the game would play. One thing they seem to have overlooked is how Mario would lose a life, because for some reason they made Mario's death animations terrifying. Let's start with this scenario. You're swimming in Jolly Roger Bay. You swam a little too deep and now your health is running low. Out of nowhere you get hit by the giant eel, and you're only at 1 health now. You run out of breath and Mario makes gasping noises and clutches at his throat as his body goes limp in the water. A very real fear for a lot of people is drowning, and now you just watched your favorite childhood character live out that exact fear.
Fair. I guess I can see that. They do look kind of terrifying. I guess yeah, the death animations I can get. Goomba, outrageous. Damn. I get it though. I get it. Okay, that one I can't get more right. That one I can understand.
I don't know why they showed Mario drowning in such a realistic way. Maybe that was the only way they could make it work. That's not the only disturbing death animation though, because in a very similar vein, Mario can die in the poison fog of Hazy Maze Cave. Mario can be seen covering his mouth whenever he's in the poison fog area, and when he dies, he clutches at his throat and falls over twitching. Mario can also just fall over dead if he loses lives, and that can be pretty realistic. The most disturbing one to me though has to be the sinking sands one. The thought of being sucked down into the ground and suffocating to death underneath the sand is almost like a nightmare come to life for me. Don't become his lunch refers to a sign that can be found in Hazy Maze Cave. It refers to Dory, the very docile and helpful dinosaur that swims in the waters of the cave. Dory isn't a threat in any way, but this sign makes him seem dangerous. To be fair, Dory can be kind of scary to some. He looks very similar to depictions of the Loch Ness Monster.
If this little guy is scary, are you even fit for the world? Like, if this little guy is in any way, shape, or form scary, then I question things. Because, like, come on. Like, come on. No way. If anything, you're actually the root one because you're beating it, right? You're jumping on top of it and hurting it. If anything, right? So there's that.
Which is just a plesiosaur. The fear of going in the water with such a creature could induce fear in some. There's also a theory that Dory was hostile in an earlier build of the game, but no one knows how or why they changed him. It could have been that an aggressive dinosaur was too much for younger players, but also they left the giant, terrifying eel in the game, so no one knows really. I mentioned that the pyramid level can be kinda creepy, but something I didn't mention were the ET hieroglyphics on the walls. These normally wouldn't be seen as much more than a reference, that is, if it wasn't for the real-life theory that the aliens built the pyramids. Some conspiracy theorists believe that the pyramids were built by aliens. Super Mario 64 is both referencing that and admitting that aliens have visited Earth before Super Mario Galaxy. It's interesting to think about.
Nah, the pyramids were built by black people. We was Egyptians and shit.
The yellow cap switch is an unused asset in Mario 64. The only ones that appear in the game are the red, green, and blue switches, which all correspond to a different power for Mario. It's unknown what power Mario would get for the yellow switch, but some believe that it would just reward Mario with another star. It's also believed the levels involving the yellow switch were removed before release because they couldn't finish it in time. Many players have reported feeling uneasy when staring at the end cake screen of the game.
To be fair, to be fair, that phase, the peach phase, the peach phase, fair. Honestly, fair. No, is the pyramids were made by aliens? Could be. Who knows? Fair. The peach phase is a bit weird.
When you complete Super Mario 64, Peach bakes Mario a cake, and that cake can be seen as the final screen of the game. People also claim to see something strange in the background of the picture. Most people don't see anything, and this could be another reference to every copy of Super Mario 64 being personalized. The Secret Aquarium level is a level that can be accessed in the same area as Jolly Roger Bay. The aquarium is noted because of the claustrophobic feeling that it gives off. Mario is essentially trapped inside of this water prison until he completes the star mission. Mario can't go up for air, he can't escape in any way. He must finish the mission and get the star to escape. This has left many, including myself, to feel panicked and boxed in. Couple that with people's fear of drowning, and this level can be just a bit.
I feel most of the question about why the skybox is literally the sky, like it's like stuck in the middle of lower, like the sky. That's most of the question, right? Why pick that as a skybox?
Of nightmare fuel. I've covered the skyboxes before, but now I'm going to talk about the strangest and possibly most disturbing one, that being the wet dry world skybox. This skybox is different from any other skybox in the game. Whereas most skyboxes are just empty.
Didn't you use like a literal actual city as like the skybox, if I remember correctly?
Sky or pitch black night, this one depicts a city underwater. The real-life town of Shibam, Yemen was used as a skybox. This makes the level feel like it's not in the video game. It makes it feel like it's a real place that we can have in our world. This gives off an eerie feeling for most who look at it, but not only is it eerie because it's a real town, but it's also a real depiction of a flooded town. The town is completely underwater, like it's Atlantis, or some forgotten city that has fallen beneath the sea. Once you beat King Bob-omb in Bob-omb Battlefield, he disappears from the game. It is believed by some that he has turned into one of the giant metal balls that can hurt Mario on the way up to the top of the hill. During the King Bob-omb mission, there were only 2 giant metal balls for Mario to avoid, but any mission following that has 3. This theory lacks evidence beyond that, but it's interesting how the connection can be made. The earliest build of Super Mario 64 was seen on July 7th, 1995. It continues to be the first ever piece of Nintendo's.
Interesting. Well, yeah. Like the texts look different. The lives looked a little different. Star and coins. That's what I can tell. Obviously, it looks a lot more grainy and stuff, so that's kind of logical, right? That kind of makes sense. Poke, I'm pretty sure I told you about this when you were playing. Yep. I remember. See, Crocker is a good boy. I suppose so, for once.
64 history. The build is seen as mysterious by those in the community, and really that's the best way to put it. Not much is known about the build, but for some reason community members discourage others from doing too much research on it. Like it's holding some secrets that we're just not ready for. The Blarg is an enemy from Super Mario World that was missing from Mario 64. The Blarg was an enemy that would jump out of the lava to attack Mario. They appeared in the lava.
See? That's what I'm saying, right? It was probably that the picture is probably exactly that. It could be, am I a good boy? Sure. Most of you are good boys and good girls. Indeed. Not what you think, you degenerates.
Worlds of the game, but for some reason didn't make an appearance in Super Mario 64. There is a beta version of the Blarg that can be found in the game's files. The creature isn't fully textured and is kind of creepy looking. With a few modifications, you can get the Blarg back in the game. The Blarg would have appeared in Lethal Lava Land, Bowser in the Fire Sea, and for some reason, Mario over the Rainbow. The Blarg will act pretty much the same as it did in Super Mario World. It'll approach Mario and burn him if he gets too close. On the upper floors of Peach's castle, there's a sign that says, "Shh, please walk quietly in the hallways." This sign has confused many in the community as it doesn't seem to serve a purpose in the game at all. A fan theory suggests that it might be referring to Bowser, constantly watching Mario as he explores the castle. Another says that it was likely something left over from the beta of the game, and was meant to serve a more significant purpose. Either way, it's been a source of discussion with the community for years. At the end of the game, once the players collected all of the stars, they can see the final ending with Yoshi on the roof of the castle. After talking to Yoshi, he jumps off and is never seen again. This scene has sparked a theory that Yoshi took his own life for unknown reasons. There's not much more to say about this one, and it's a bit of a stretch even compared to some of the more out there theories surrounding the game. Big Boo for some reason has multiple laughs. The usual high-pitched Boo laugh, and then there's this occasional lower-pitched version. This one. It just sounds way more scary and menacing.
The question is like, does it come from the small ones or the big ones? Because usually bigger things sound deeper, right? That's a classic trope, right? So like, whatever. Yeah, more like whatever. Bowser gooning happens to the best one. People are gooning to Bowser already. That has happened already, right? Bowser exists.
Than they probably thought it would be. No one's quite sure what triggers this laugh, but it has been caught on several streams and several YouTube videos. King Womp complains to Mario about the Womps being used to build everything in the Mushroom Kingdom without being thanked. Mario then proceeds to fight him, and after beating him, gets a star as usual. When Mario returns to the same level, King Womp is missing, and now a new tower stands in his place.
So the theory is that he was used to build this tower.
This has led many to believe that this structure was built out of King Womp himself. To really put the nail in the coffin for this theory, it's also theorized that the one-up mushroom found in the tower is King Womp's soul. There was a commercial in the 90s that had Mario break out of the TV and drink milk straight from the jug. This made him grow to an enormous size so he could complete the level quickly. This commercial was just a little weird, but some found it to be a form of nightmare fuel. I can't tell if it's from the fear of Mario leaving the game and stealing your food, or what exactly. All I know is I remember seeing this commercial all the time as a kid. We're talking about Big Boo's haunt again. When you enter the level, for some reason, there's what looks to be a giant dark forest as the skybox. This is the only time this skybox appears in the game, and it adds perfectly to the creepy atmosphere. The only problem is, when you enter Big Boo's haunt, you're shrinking down to go into the level. This has led to a few theories. The first one being that it's not a forest that you're seeing, and in fact is just the grass from the courtyard surrounding the level. This one can be believable, but
Like a bit like a face. Anyway, got milk.
doesn't really look like the grass, and most of the sun is also absent in this skybox. When Mario enters Big Boo's haunt, it's a sunny day, but now it's dark and there's an ominous forest surrounding the world. Another theory is that Mario is teleported to a pocket dimension. This pocket dimension is perpetually night and is surrounded on all sides by the encroaching forest. Super Mario 64 had to do a lot to bring Mario into the third dimension. One thing that it didn't account for, though, was how empty it all feels. The game starts with Mario in the courtyard of the castle, surrounded on all sides by hills that he can't climb over. The player can hear the sounds of birds and other wildlife, but none of that can be seen. It's pretty empty, and that's how most of the game feels. The castle is mostly empty halls with little to no furniture. The only inhabitants are the toads, and they are pretty scarce as well. It's weird to have a big castle and map, but have it all be so empty. It's not just the castle that is empty though. The worlds that Mario can enter through, the paintings, also feel completely desolate. The levels have fewer enemies than other Mario games and are mostly just empty space for Mario to jump around. Now, give this a try. Boot up Mario 64 and play it with no sound. Make your way around the world and you'll probably start to feel that emptiness.
Look, there's my homie, Koopa the Quick. I fucking hate Koopa the Quick. Fucking hated him in that one map. He was too fast.
When you see the toads in the castle, they appear to be translucent. You can see right through them. These toads are being projected here, but why and what are they really? There's a few theories about this. The first being that these toads are ghost projections. The real toads were killed by Bowser, and their ghosts came back to help Mario find and save Princess Peach. This theory makes sense if you think about how the only other entities that you could encounter in the castle are the boos in the courtyard. The max star number in Super Mario 64 is 120. This is interesting because 120 is a spiritually significant number. In many religions, the number 120 has a special meaning. Its main interpretation is that of growth and moving forward. This would be interesting since Super Mario 64 was the first 3D Mario game and really paved the way for 3D platformers to follow. The whole significance of the number and how deep this one part can go is a little more than I want to cover in this video. This is kind of a long theory about the journey of Mario.
Fair. Though it would be interesting in which religion it is actually that important.
Mario and Super Mario 64 mirroring a Freemason journey. This theory goes pretty deep, discussing how Bowser essentially becomes a god as he creates worlds using the power of the stars. The power stars themselves also represent symbols that hold significance in the Freemasons' journey. I could go in depth about all the references to the Freemasons here, but it would be worth a video all by itself. This is just another form of nightmare fuel that Super Mario 64 has created.
Yeah, I would disagree with that. We're not yet in the phase of normal kills God, right? We aren't in that phase yet. That happened later. The phase of we must kill God. Or a god. Whatever. Right? That comes later.
The wet, dry world negative emotional aura is the topic that really made me want to talk about Super Mario 64. There's a phenomenon that many players have described, a feeling that has to do with wet, dry world. Wet, dry world is one of the most disturbing levels in the game, but not at surface value. Starting with the skybox that I mentioned before, being of a city in the real world, and looking super out of place. There's also a small abandoned town area that you can find if you search for it. The best word to describe it would probably be liminal. Liminal spaces are places where you can usually find people or life, but now lays abandoned. I think that describes this area pretty well. The atmosphere of the whole level leaves a lot of people feeling uneasy. This is caused by the supposed negative emotional aura the level puts off. This feeling can be described as feeling emotionally drained, anxious, or depressed. Without
The only negative aura I got was from raising the water level up and down. That's the only negative aura I got from this one.
any real reason why. This emotional aura isn't felt by all players and is likely only in specific copies of Super Mario 64. It's in enough of them though that the player base has had these shared experiences, making it one of the more well-documented phenomenons. A Toad states that, "The princess and I and, well, everybody, were all trapped inside the castle walls. Bowser has stolen the castle's stars, and he's using their power to create his own world in the paintings and walls." This statement has led to some confusion and theories. The confusion comes from whether he means they are literally trapped inside the walls of the castle, or if he just meant trapped in the castle building. Either interpretation doesn't make sense as the front door is unlocked and Toad can leave whenever he wants. The most popular theory is that the Toads and Princess Peach are trapped inside the actual walls of the castle. Bowser, when he stole the Power Stars, also trapped the Toads inside the walls. Mario then releases them by collecting those stars and opening the doors. This theory has been widely debated by the community. The textureless Mario anomaly is one that not many players have had the chance to interact with. It's a very specific anomaly that was discovered by fellow YouTuber SwinkyBox. He had been running one of his challenge videos when it happened. The textureless Mario appeared on Tiny Huge Island, and so did random glitching effects. The water had no texture, but Mario could still swim in it. It was when Swanky turned to see Mario fully that his face appeared to melt off until it was blank. The textureless Mario anomaly isn't harmful to players and acts pretty benevolent in most cases. Since there's many different versions of this anomaly, one of them might not be so benevolent.
I'd probably be traumatized too, to be fair. That would be traumatizing for sure. Right? That would be terrifying, right? One moment you'll play the game normal, next moment, Mario has no face, right? I'd be terrified too, for sure.
There's a theory that Wriggler bodies were used to cover the Bowser battlefield. The yellow objects look kind of similar to the body of Wrigglers, the same shape and the same size at least. This one hasn't been fully explored, but it's unlikely to be true. This theory kind of goes along with the toads being trapped in the walls theory. There's another theory that states that Princess Peach is stuck in some dimension.
Trapped in the walls. Is deer in your walls? Nope, not that I'm aware. From what I know, the rare one is not in my walls. He probably has perished, sadly.
Mentioned behind the stained glass window. The most interesting part to me is that I heard this story from my cousins growing up, and a few friends on the playground. This theory has been around for a while, or at least a version of it has. A Super Mario 64 sequel was planned for the N64 that would use the same AI that every copy of Super Mario 64 used, but they canceled it because it caused temporal leakage in some game testers. This isn't a widely believed theory though. Most players already know that the game was planned for the N64 disk drive, which was cancelled due to low sales. There's a theory that a brain diagram was hidden in the game files of Super Mario 64. This brain diagram was likely used to create different versions of Super Mario 64 to each individual player. It is unknown what other uses the game would have for such a thing. The white-eyed chomp is an anomaly that changes the textures of the chain chomp's eyes to be completely white. This doesn't usually make the chain chomp act any differently, but it is a sign that your copy is going to have varied levels.
That is quite terrifying, I suppose. That is very terrifying, I guess.
Levels of personalization. If the player sees the white-eyed chomp in any other levels, then it is to be expected that its behavior will be less predictable and they should proceed with caution. The white-eyed chomp has been most notably found in Big Boo's haunt. The Eternal Fort was believed to be the final level of Super Mario 64. The validity of this level has been speculated by many different members of the community. If the level is in the game, then players haven't figured out how to access it yet. The Eternal Fort would use every skill that the players had learned while playing Super Mario 64. It was meant to be the final and hardest level in the game. It is said that in order to access the level, the player must know everything about Super Mario 64. Then the personalization AI will open it up to them. The level hasn't been found yet by any player.
Because it doesn't exist.
Shared nightmares refers to the phenomena where players have all had similar nightmares to one another. The main constant in all their nightmares is Super Mario 64. These nightmares appear to be some form of subconscious dread that players have felt while playing the game. Despite the colorful and fun world of Super Mario 64, it has appeared to have a deep effect on its players. Something has disturbed players on a subconscious level, leaving many with nightmares to this day. Players have urged others to try and wake up if they notice the nightmares related to the game. They say the nightmares can hold you captive if you let them. The shared nightmare experience was first documented on 4chan and has been spread around the rest of the internet from there. Thanks everyone for watching my video, and special thanks to my Patreon supporter, Blowin' O.
Oh, wow, it's already over. That was interesting. Oh well. What can I say? actually not all that much. See, most of these I already knew, because, well, I love watching any videos about, you know, game theories, essentially, video game theories, so there's that. There's a bunch of interesting things, for example, there's a torture room in WoW, but it's hidden. Anyway, interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Most of these are obviously just theories, right? You won't get much out of this, obviously, right? That just kind of makes sense, right? Would be surprising, right? But yeah, it took quite a while to, for example, to find Luigi in the game files, right? People look through that. It's just a theory, a game theory. I miss Matt Pat. I miss Matt Pat. But we'll never get this man back. Probably we'll never get this man back. Very unfortunate. Anyway, that was fun. That was a fun video for sure.